The silence before the storm. The stars were silent that night. Cold light spread across the empty rim of the galaxy. 1,000 systems slept in peace under the rule of the Galactic Empire. But deep beyond the patrol lines, an old radar on Station 12 caught a faint signal. At first, the officers thought it was just background noise, a dying echo from an asteroid belt. Then the monitor flickered again, showing a single moving blip, slow but steady, unregistered, no transponder code, no Imperial clearance, and one single human life sign. The operator froze. Humans were extinct, erased from records 100 years ago. He checked the scanner again, then whispered to his captain. "Sir, it says human," the captain laughed nervously, thinking it was a glitch. But as he leaned closer, the signal grew stronger. The ship was heading straight toward Imperial space. Admiral Zyron of the Zenthari fleet was called from her quarters. She was known for her calm and intelligence, never showing fear. When she entered the command bridge, the crew stood in silence. The hologram displayed a small black vessel, motionless but alive. Its hull design was old, ancient even, built from metal the Empire no longer used. But one symbol was still clear on its side, a faded blue Earth emblem. Zyron's eyes narrowed. "This cannot be," she said softly. "The humans are gone." She ordered a communication channel opened. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself. You are entering restricted Imperial space." No answer. Only static, the signal repeated, louder now. Zyron spoke again, her voice sharper. "Unknown vessel, respond, or we will consider you hostile." For a moment, the bridge was filled with nothing but white noise. Then a voice, calm and human, spoke through the speakers. "Permission to engage denied. This sector belongs to humanity." The crew froze. The words echoed through the bridge like thunder in an empty hall. The Admiral clenched her jaw, trying to steady her breath. "Record that transmission," she ordered. "Target the ship." But before the gunners could lock on, the unknown vessel shimmered, its form blurred like smoke in the vacuum of space. And then it was gone. Every scanner went blank. Every reading flatlined. The crew looked at one another, waiting for alarms, waiting for something. But space remained silent. It was as if the ship had never existed. Zyron turned toward her science officer. "Cloaking?" she asked. He shook his head slowly. "No known tech can vanish like that." "Admiral!" Back on the Imperial capital, the news spread quickly. A human signal detected, a human voice heard. The Senate demanded answers. Scholars debated if it was a hoax or a remnant AI from Earth's last war. But the military knew better. Old veterans whispered of a man who survived the fall of Earth, Captain Elias Kane, the last commander of the human defense fleet. A ghost story, they said. A man who swore vengeance on the Empire that destroyed his home. While the Empire argued, something moved again on the edge of deep space. A satellite went dark, then another. A convoy of supply ships disappeared without a trace. No debris, no distress call, only silence. When the Empire sent drones to investigate, they found a message carved into the wreck of a transport hull. It read, "You forgot what it means to be human." In the darkness of his ship, Captain Elias Kane watched the recordings of his enemies, his eyes cold but not cruel. His hands rested on the old controls of his warship, the Helios 9. Beside him, an AI voice whispered softly. "Admiral Zyron has noticed you, Captain," Kane smirked. "She will understand soon enough," he said quietly. Nova, the AI, replied. "They still think humans are gone. They will learn the truth," Kane answered. When the storm begins, the Helios drifted between the stars, cloaked in experimental shadow, a relic of a forgotten race, powered by ancient reactors still burning with human fire. Kane remembered the day Earth burned. He remembered the screams, the firestorms, the betrayal by the Empire's fleets. He had sworn on that day he would make them remember who started the war, and who would finish it on the Imperial bridge. Iron stared at the dark screen long after the transmission ended. Something inside her stirred. Fear, curiosity, maybe even guilt. She had studied the human wars. She knew how they fought, not with numbers, but with will. One human had turned whole fleets into ashes before. And if one had survived, the Empire was not as safe as it thought. Outside the viewport, the stars shimmered once more. A faint distortion moved near the fleet formation. The crew gasped as the same black ship appeared again. Distant but visible, this time its engines glowed blue, brighter than any known drive. Zyron shouted, "Shields up!" But it was already too late. A single pulse wave swept through their sensors. Every ship in range went blind, and through the silence came that same human voice. Calm, cold, commanding. "You came to our home once," it said. "Now I come to yours." Then the ship vanished again, leaving behind empty space and terrified hearts. The Admiral gripped the rail of the bridge, staring into the void. "The storm has begun," she whispered. No one dared to speak. Far away, Elias Kane smiled beneath the fading starlight. "The Empire forgot humanity," he murmured. "Now humanity will remind them." Ghost of the human wars. The Empire did not sleep after the incident at the Rim. Across the stars, fear traveled faster than light. Every fleet commander whispered about the black ship that spoke like a man. Every senator demanded proof that humanity was truly gone. But no one could find the source of that transmission. It was as if the human ghost had come and vanished between heartbeats. Admiral Zyron sat alone in her private chamber. The reports scattered before her showed burned convoys, silent colonies, and missing patrols. Each event too precise, too quiet, too clean to be random. She played the old transmission again. That voice, while calm, proud, dangerous. Permission to engage denied. "This sector belongs to humanity." Those words echoed like thunder in her mind. If the humans were truly gone, who could speak with such conviction? The Empire's historians were summoned. They brought digital archives from the Great Purge era, images of Earth's burning, of the last human fleets fighting until their reactors went dark. Among them was one classified file, Project Helios 9. It had been erased from official records decades ago, but deep in the encryption lay a name, Captain Elias Kane, a man once called the last defender of Earth, a man who vanished after sending one final message. "You may burn our world, but you will never erase what we are." Rumors spread through the lower decks of the Imperial fleet. Pilots joked about the ghost of Kane haunting battlefields. But when an outpost in the Vega system went dark without alarm or explosion, the laughter stopped. Scouts found only drifting debris, and carved across the hull of a destroyed frigate were 3 words: "For Earth's children." Admiral Zyron studied the images carefully. She noticed something most would ignore. Each destroyed ship had one thing left untouched: the communication core. It was deliberate, a message sent each time. She realized the human wasn't just attacking, he was teaching. Teaching them to listen. Teaching them to remember. Far from the Empire's reach, the Helios 9 floated inside a dead nebula. Its black hull shimmered against purple clouds of gas. Inside, Captain Elias Kane stood before the holographic map of the galaxy. His ship's AI Nova flickered beside him. 3 outposts neutralized, Captain," she said softly. "Imperial fleets are moving in tri-vector formation toward our coordinates." Kane's eyes narrowed. "Good, let them come," he murmured. Nova tilted her head. "You still believe they can change?" "Not yet," Kane said. "But one day someone will listen." He opened an ancient metal box. Inside lay a tattered patch with the blue Earth symbol. He touched it gently. "This is for them," he whispered. "For every child who never grew up under a sky." Nova dimmed her light, her voice almost human. "You are still just one man." Kane smiled faintly. "One man was enough to start the human wars," he said. "And one man can end it." Back in the Imperial capital, unrest grew. Civilians began questioning the Senate's truth about Earth. Pirate bands started flying the old human emblem in defiance. Even a few alien officers quietly wondered if they were fighting the wrong enemy. Admiral Zyron was summoned to the High Council. The Chancellor demanded she destroy the ghost ship immediately, but she hesitated. Destroy what? She asked. An idea? That night, alone on her cruiser, she stared at the stars. A message came through the encrypted channel. Human code from the old war. Her heart raced. Her officers had no idea what it meant. She decoded it manually. The message was simple. "Do you remember Earth?" Her hands trembled. She answered with the same encryption. "Earth is gone," she typed. Moments later, another message appeared. "Then why do you still look for it in the stars?" She stared in silence, unable to reply. The next morning, 3 Imperial fleets vanished from sensors. Their last recorded coordinates showed them chasing an empty decoy beacon. Only one shuttle survived. Its pilot found drifting half-mad, repeating the same words. He was there and then he was gone. Like a ghost in the fire, the Empire now faced an enemy they could not track. A single ship fighting a war of memory and vengeance. But Admiral Zyron felt something different now. A strange pull, a spark of curiosity about the truth. She began collecting every forbidden document about humanity. Old songs, art pieces, even children's stories. Each fragment showed something she had never understood before. Hope. Meanwhile, in the void, Kane watched the Imperial news feeds displaying panic and propaganda. Nova said, "They call you the ghost of the human wars now." Kane chuckled softly. "That's better than being forgotten." "But they fear you," Nova said. "They think you want to destroy them all." "I don't want their destruction," Kane answered. "I want their understanding." He looked out the viewport as stars glimmered in the distance. "You see that, Nova? Each light was once someone's home," he said. "Every world has its own Earth somewhere." He paused and added, "They just forgot to care." Nova blinked. "What now, Captain?" Kane grinned coldly. "Now we remind them." He activated a hidden sequence on his console, projecting coordinates deep into Imperial territory. "Set course for their core supply route," he said. "It's time they remember our name. Operation Echo begins now." Outside, the Helios 9 flared to life, its engines glowing like a blue star reborn. In the silence of space, the ghost of humanity moved again, and this time the Empire would not be ready. The message in the fire, the galaxy burned quietly. Every corner of the Empire whispered the same name, the human ghost. Merchants refused to travel, patrols went missing, and rumors grew like wildfire. Some said he was immortal, others said he was a machine, but no one truly knew who commanded the black ship that hunted the stars. Admiral Zyron stood before a vast holographic map. Dots of red marked destroyed fleets, missing convoys and sabotaged outposts. The trail formed a pattern, too clean to be coincidence. A path leading straight toward the heart of the Empire. Her second officer trembled as he spoke. "Admiral." "He's not fighting like a soldier," she turned. "Then how?" He swallowed. "He's fighting like a teacher." For the first time in decades, the Empire began to study its enemy. They examined his attacks and noticed something strange. No civilian casualties, no planetary bombardments, no scorched worlds, only military targets, precise, efficient, surgical. The Admiral whispered to herself. "He's sending a message." Far away in the shadow of a dying sun, Helios 9 drifted in silence. Inside, Captain Elias Kane stared at a holo display showing intercepted Empire transmissions. Each one twisted the truth, calling him a monster. A war criminal, a ghost. Nova, the ship's AI, appeared beside him, glowing softly. "Your message is working, Captain. But they call you a demon now." Kane smiled faintly. "If fear wakes them, then so be it." Nova tilted her head. "And after fear?" Kane's voice grew quiet. "Then comes understanding." He opened a data vault labeled Project Erebus. Inside was a dormant weapon, old human technology capable of bending gravity itself. It was never used in the human wars because it was too powerful. But now the time had come. Kane touched the control panel, and the old circuits hummed to life. "Let's give the galaxy a lesson in consequence," he said softly. Hours later in Sector 14, an Imperial armada appeared. 40 ships, led by Admiral Zyron herself. Her eyes were sharp, but her heart heavy. She didn't want this fight, but the Senate demanded blood. "Target the unknown vessel," she ordered quietly. All ships prepare to fire. The black void shimmered, and an Helios 9 emerged. Silent and waiting, the first barrage of plasma struck nothing. The ship flickered like a reflection in broken glass. "Where did he go?" shouted an officer. Zyron scanned the readings. "He's not cloaked," she said in disbelief. "He's bending space." Suddenly, the Helios reappeared behind them. A pulse wave rippled outward, invisible, beautiful, deadly. Ships twisted in impossible angles, their shields collapsing under their own gravity. One destroyer tore itself apart without a sound. Another spun helplessly as its systems overloaded. And through the chaos came that same human voice, calm, steady, and cold. "You took our home. Now you will feel what it means to lose control." Admiral Zyron gripped the railing. Her ship shaking violently, she shouted, "Cease fire! Regroup, pull the fleet back." But the comms were gone. Every signal drowned by static and interference. The Empire's greatest fleet was blind. Yet Kane didn't finish them, he simply waited. Then, on every surviving ship's main screen, his face appeared, weathered, scarred, human. "This war isn't about revenge," he said slowly. "It's about memory. You forgot who you destroyed, and you forgot why we fought. He paused, letting the silence sink deep. I will remind you, he transmitted a single image. The ruins of Earth, the blue planet burning, the cries of billions silenced. Then the signal ended. Kane whispered to Nova. Let them see what they created. Nova flickered. You could have destroyed them. Captain. Kane looked out at the drifting wreckage. I'm not here to destroy, he said. I'm here to teach. Hours later, the surviving Imperial ships limped back home. The Senate demanded Zyron explain how one man destroyed a fleet. But she said nothing, because when she saw his face, she didn't see a monster. She saw truth in her private quarters. She replayed his final words again and again. Memory, he had said. She realized the human wasn't trying to win a war. He was trying to wake the galaxy, and somewhere inside, she felt something long forgotten, shame. Back aboard the Helios 9, Nova analyzed the battle data. 27 ships disabled. No deaths confirmed, she reported. Kane nodded. Good. You spared them all, Nova said softly. Why? He turned toward the window, his reflection faint against the stars. Because mercy is what makes us human, he replied. Let the Empire learn that too. The AI paused, then asked, What now, Captain? Kane smiled faintly. Now, he said, we send the real message. He uploaded a data burst into the hyperspace relays, a broadcast across every known channel. The image of Earth followed by his voice. This is Captain Elias Kane of the Human Defense Fleet. Humanity was never destroyed. It was forgotten. And now, we remember. The message spread like fire, reaching every colony, every station, every rebel outpost across the stars. Millions watched the forbidden transmission. Some wept, some cheered, others trembled in fear. The ghost of humanity was no longer a secret. He was a symbol. And in that moment, the Empire realized something far worse than defeat. It realized that hope had returned, and hope was human. Echoes of fear. The galaxy had not been this quiet in centuries, not since the human wars. But this silence was not peace, it was fear. Fear of a voice that came from the shadows. Fear of a single word, human. Across the Imperial core worlds, panic grew. The Senate declared a state of emergency. Broadcasts filled the networks, warning of the so-called human avenger. They said he was an ancient machine, a ghost, a weapon out of control. But the people had already seen his message. They had seen Earth, they had seen the truth. Protests began on the outer colonies. Aliens who once served the Empire now questioned the lies. Why did the humans vanish? Why did the Empire erase their history? The Chancellor called it treason, but the spark was already lit. The legend of Captain Elias Kane was spreading faster than any fleet. Admiral Zyron stood before the High Council. Her eyes cold, her voice steady. You cannot fight a ghost with fear, she said. But the Council demanded destruction, not dialogue. Find him and end this madness, the Chancellor shouted. If you fail, you will share his fate. Zyron bowed slightly but said nothing. Inside, she felt something heavy, doubt. Doubt in the Empire she had served all her life. That night, Zyron returned to her quarters. The lights flickered once, then stabilized. A voice came from her console, calm, human, familiar. Still serving lies, Admiral? Her breath caught. Elias Kane, she whispered. His hologram appeared before her. A faint blue light, worn but proud. How did you get through Imperial security? She asked. Kane smiled. You built your security on human code, you never changed it. Her lips tightened. Why are you contacting me? He leaned forward. Because I know you're not blind, Zyron. You saw what the Empire did. She hesitated. Memories flashing. The classified orders. The forbidden archives, the erased files. You killed thousands, she said. Kane's eyes narrowed. And your Empire killed billions. The silence between them felt endless. Kane spoke again, softer now. I'm not here to destroy you, Admiral. I'm here to remind you of what you forgot. She frowned. And what is that? He replied, compassion. Nova's voice echoed faintly through the connection. Captain, the transmission is traceable. Kane ignored it. He kept his eyes on Zyron. You have power, Admiral. Use it for truth, not obedience. Then his image flickered and vanished. Zyron stood frozen, his last words still burning in her mind. The next day, Imperial patrols launched Operation Stormveil. Hundreds of ships swept the sectors. But all they found were empty signals and burned-out decoys every time they got close. The Helios 9 disappeared like smoke in one sector. They found a drifting beacon playing an audio log. Kane's voice again, calm as ever. You think fear will protect you? But fear is what ends empires. Meanwhile, in the hidden depths of the Helios 9, Nova ran new scans. Admiral Zyron's fleet is searching 3 light-years away, she said. Kane nodded. She's smarter than the rest. She'll understand. Nova's tone softened. Do you trust her? Kane looked out at the swirling nebula beyond. I trust the part of her that still remembers mercy. Elsewhere, rebellion began to stir. Miners on Valtor Prime refused to send resources to the Empire. Smugglers spread Kane's broadcast through secret channels. And in the dark corners of the galaxy, resistance flags rose. Not for conquest, but for truth. They painted the human emblem. The blue earth symbol on walls and ships. To the oppressed, it became a sign of courage. To the Senate, it became a sign of war in desperation. The Empire unleashed its most powerful fleet, the Dread Armada. Thousands of ships armed with antimatter cannons and graviton torpedoes. Their mission was simple: find the Helios 9 and erase it from existence. But as they reached the outskirts of the nebula, their sensors began to fail. Static filled the air. Systems glitched, engines flickered, then one by one, their ships started to vanish from scanners. No explosions, no distress calls, just disappearance. It was as if the darkness itself had swallowed them. On board the Helios 9, Nova's systems glowed faintly. Erebus field holding at 60%, she reported. Kane stood quietly, watching the invisible storm outside. Don't destroy them, he said, just show them. The AI obeyed, releasing a series of light pulses through the field. Across the fleet, massive holograms appeared in space. Images of Earth, humanity's oceans, forests, children laughing under the sky. It was not a weapon. It was a reminder. Every pilot who saw it felt something stir. Some wept, some lowered their weapons, some whispered. Maybe they were right. Back on the Imperial capital, the Chancellor watched the reports in horror. Entire divisions refusing orders, fleets going silent. He slammed his fist on the table. This is treason. But Zyron stood calmly beside him. No, she said, this is truth. That night, Zyron sent a private message into the void. It contained no words, just one symbol, the blue Earth insignia. Far away, aboard the Helios 9, Nova detected it. Captain, she said. It's from Zyron. Kane smiled quietly. Then she's finally listening. Outside, the stars shimmered brighter. The galaxy was changing. For the first time in 100 years, the echo of fear began to fade, and in its place, something older, stronger, and far more dangerous began to rise. Hope. The return of humanity. The galaxy stood on the edge of dawn. 1,000 worlds waited, breath held, hearts divided between fear and faith. The name Elias Kane had become a legend, a warning, a hope. And in the silence before the final storm, every eye turned toward the Imperial core. From orbit, the capital glowed like a silver jewel. Beneath its beauty hid centuries of control, oppression, and silence. But now the stars above it shimmered with approaching light. The Helios 9 had arrived. Inside the war room, the Chancellor screamed orders. Destroy him before he speaks, he shouted. But Admiral Zyron stood still, her hands behind her back, eyes calm. The fleets are hesitating, Chancellor, she said. They've seen too much truth. He turned to her, face pale. You were supposed to end him. She met his gaze. I intend to, but not the way you think. Outside, the Imperial Armada formed a defensive ring, thousands of ships glowing like a wall of fire, and from the darkness came one vessel, small, ancient, alone, the human ship, scarred yet unbroken. Moving with impossible grace, comms lit up. A single broadcast overriding all channels. A human voice filled the void. This is Captain Elias Kane of the Helios 9. You have ruled through fear long enough. Today, humanity returns, the Chancellor shouted. Jam him, silence him. But it was too late. His message spread across every network, every planet, every listening soul. He spoke not of vengeance, but of remembrance. Once, humanity stood with the stars side by side with every race. We dreamed, we built, we trusted. And when we were betrayed, we did not die. We became the voice you could not silence, in the command ship. Zyron watched the speech play across the bridge. Her crew stood frozen, some crying quietly. She opened her private channel. Elias Kane, she said softly. The Empire won't stop until you're gone. He smiled faintly, his eyes tired but bright. Then let this be my last lesson. As the fleets prepared to fire, Kane activated Project Erebus Prime, but this time it was not a weapon. The Helios 9 unleashed a pulse of pure light, spreading across the system like sunrise. Every engine stalled, every weapon froze. The light carried data, history, images, memories, scenes from old Earth, humanity's art, laughter, pain, compassion, creation. Every being who saw it felt something awaken, a reminder that the humans were not monsters. They were mirrors. Mirrors showing what the galaxy had forgotten. The Chancellor fell to his knees, his mind overwhelmed by the visions. He saw the burning of Earth, the faces of children, the ruins of the Empire's lies, he whispered. What have we done? Admiral Zyron closed her eyes, tears streaking down her face. She whispered to her crew, stand down. One by one, ships lowered their weapons. The once mighty Imperial Armada bowed in silence before a single human ship. Nova's voice filled the Helios 9 softly. Captain, the system is quiet. No resistance detected. Kane smiled weakly. Then maybe the storm is over. His body trembled. The years of battle finally catching him. Status? He asked. Nova paused. You're fading. Elias, he nodded slowly. Good, he said. It's time. He opened a final channel to Zyren. You were right, Admiral, he said. The Empire needed to change. But it needed someone to remember first, she replied through tears. What will you do now? He smiled. I've already done it. The Helios 9 rose slowly toward the light, its engines glowing brighter than ever. Nova whispered, Goodbye, Captain? Kane looked out at the stars one last time. Humanity lives, he said softly. And then the ship dissolved into a stream of energy. The oldest human technology merging with the very fabric of space, turning into a beacon, a star that would never fade centuries later. Travelers crossing that system would see a single blue light shining near the capital world. They called it the human star. Legends said it was the soul of a man who taught the galaxy how to remember. Others said it was just a relic, a machine left behind. But those who truly listened claimed they could still hear a faint whisper across the static. Permission to engage denied. This sector belongs to humanity. And so ended the war that began with silence and ended with awakening. The Empire rebuilt not as rulers but as equals. And across the stars humanity returned, not with weapons, but with wisdom. The storm had passed. But the echo of one man's courage would live forever, because some ghosts never fade, and some fires never die. They simply become light.